how important is it to invest in the oncology sector, knowing that cancer is the second leading cause of death worldwide?
Well, Ken, you're right. It remains a huge problem. If you think about it, we all have a 40% lifetime risk of being confronted with this disease. That basically means that everybody is indirectly or directly confronted with cancer. So the good thing is, we see a lot of progress on the ground. We see a lot of R&D dollars going to cancer, but it's a complicated fight. Cancer is not a single disease. It's really a multitude of different diseases. But with all those dollars going into the fight, we see that we're making a lot of progress. We're seeing that we're on a very good track. We're not there yet, but the progress is very clear, both in prevention, both in diagnosis, and also certainly in the treatment of cancer.
So Linden, what are the current prospects of the oncology market, and in which way does that influence your investment strategy?
Yeah, I think it's important to remember that a third of R&D spend in biopharma, for example, is focused on oncology. It's the leading focus in terms of the therapeutic areas for biopharma. It's also the number one therapeutic area for M&A. Revenues in biopharma are still growing low double digit year on year. When we think about the future, we think about the demographic drivers of cancer, the fact that we're all getting older as a society, the fact that there's a lot of disease factors, risk factors that are leading to increases of cancer, obesity, alcohol intake, a more sedentary lifestyle. So these are long-term drivers, unfortunately, of cancer cases. When we think about the investment, we think about the whole of the cancer life cycle. We think about prevention, we think about detection and diagnosis and treatment monitoring, and of course, the side of cancer therapies and therapeutics. So we invest across the whole area. We build a bottom-up, diversified, conviction-led global healthcare franchise around the fight against cancer.
What's Candriam's approach to select those companies that contribute the most?
Yeah, as I said, it's a bottom-up process. We have a team of 6 experts with scientific backgrounds, with capital market experience, and of course, healthcare investment experience too. We invest across the whole of healthcare, so it's not just therapeutics. In biopharma, for example, we're looking for large cap, small cap, mid cap companies with really interesting opportunities in their pipeline, and where a large proportion of their revenues come from successful, impactful drugs. What we're also keen to take advantage of and give investors exposure to is also early stage opportunities. So perhaps they don't have revenues now in oncology, perhaps they don't have revenues at all, but they've got really interesting pipeline opportunities that we think will be successful and will have an impact for patients on a longer term basis. So we look across all of those areas.
Okay, Servaas, how does ESG integration influence your investment decisions?
Well, Ken, in healthcare investing, ESG is really at the core of our decisions that we take. In the end, it's really doing well by doing good really holds in this sector. What you want is you want to find those treatments that might make the most difference for patients. If you find a treatment that really makes a difference for patients, that is what doctors will prescribe. That is what eventually will generate your sales and what eventually will generate your returns for investors. So it's really at the core of the strategy. If you think then a bit more broader, what's also really impactful ESG-wise in this sector, that is good governance. You absolutely want top management teams to execute on that clinical and commercial strategy. So management governance, absolutely critical. And then another factor that I think matters and goes a bit hand in hand with a good management team, but is also attracting good employees, looking for companies that really attract the top talent in this sector and retain that top talent, because in the end, it's those people that will bring those solutions to patients. So I think that's absolutely critical from an ESG perspective in this sector.
And Linden, how does Candriam's oncology strategy contribute to the fight against cancer?
Yeah, within the fund, we offer investors the opportunity to invest in best-in-class companies involved in cancer research, in cancer treatment, in cancer detection across the whole of the healthcare spectrum. And if you look back since inception of the fund, we have actually been invested in well over half of those companies that have had new FDA approvals within oncology.
If I may maybe add to that, I mean, that also illustrates that we take our job very seriously. I mean, we are one of the larger healthcare investors in the space, and it's absolutely critical for us to know those companies, to select the best possible management teams and the ones that really make the difference for patients in the long run. And we go beyond just investing in those companies. With part of our management fee, we also support charities. We support charities on the one hand with a very strong research focus. I mean, we realize, and a lot of people in the team have that academic experience, a lot of that research starts in academia. So it's very important to keep that ecosystem alive and also provide funding for academia. On the other hand, we also think it's very important that patients get the support that they deserve. So we also invest in charities that invest in patient support. For example, in Japan, we invested in a charity that has a patient support line that took over 9,000 calls last year.
I think it's important to focus on the success as well as the challenges in oncology. And, you know, as we look forward, there's still many challenges, but hopefully more successes to come.